The void of space erupted with fire as plasma bolts tore through the darkness. Captain Marcus Webb held on to the command chair as another explosion rocked the Earth Defense Fleet flagship Retribution. The view screen showed 3 massive alien battlecruisers closing in from different directions, their hulls covered in strange organic armor that seemed to pulse with life. "Shields down to 40%, Lieutenant Torres shouted from the tactical station. Her hands moved fast across the holographic controls. "Captain, they are timing their attacks perfectly. If they hit us like that again, we are finished." Marcus watched the tactical display with cold calculation. The Caltherian warships were bigger than any human vessel, their technology refined over thousands of years. The insectoid aliens had been probing Earth's defenses for months, testing human resolve, looking for weaknesses in their formations. Today, they had found one. The patrol was supposed to be routine. Intelligence had promised nothing more than empty space and asteroid fields in the outer rim. Instead, Marcus had led his small fleet directly into an ambush. 3 human ships against 3 alien battlecruisers. The math was not in their favor. "All ships, execute pattern Delta 7, Marcus ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Focus all firepower on the lead cruiser. We break their formation or we die trying." The Retribution's sister ships, Defiance and Ironclad, moved into attack position. Human vessels were smaller, faster, built by engineers who understood that space combat was about raw physics and overwhelming force. Earth had been in the galaxy for only 20 years, but they had learned to fight hard and fight smart. The 3 human warships fired in perfect synchronization. Railgun rounds, moving at a fraction of light speed, hammered into the lead Caltherian shields. The alien vessel's protective barrier flickered and died. Explosions bloomed across its organic hull as the armor cracked and split. But the other 2 Caltherians were already moving, their plasma weapons charged with an angry green glow. The aliens were not going to let the humans celebrate their small victory. "Incoming fire," Torres warned. "Brace for impact." The bridge lights flickered as the plasma barrage hit. Warning alarms screamed. Crew members grabbed whatever they could hold. Marcus felt the ship shudder beneath him, metal groaning under impossible stress. "Shields at 28%, Torres reported. "Hull breach on Deck 7. Damage control teams responding." Marcus was calculating their options when Ensign Park looked up from the communications console, confusion clear on his young face. "Captain, I am picking up a distress signal." "We are in the middle of a battle, Park," Marcus said, watching the Caltherians regroup for another attack run. "Sir, the signal is not Caltherian. It is not human either." Park's fingers danced across his controls. "The encryption is something I have never seen before. But underneath, the mathematical pattern is universal. Someone is calling for help." Marcus pulled up the signal location on his display. The distress beacon was coming from a debris field near the system's 4th moon. Wreckage floated in the void. Pieces of what might have been a ship scattered across thousands of kilometers. "Can we reach it?" Marcus asked Torres. The tactical officer studied her screens. "Yes, but it will put us right between all 3 Caltherians. They will have clear shots at us from multiple angles." "Sir, it is suicide." Marcus stared at the debris field. Every tactical instinct told him to ignore the signal. Focus on survival. Win the immediate fight. That was how you stayed alive in space combat. But humans had not clawed their way to the stars by abandoning others in need. Even unknown aliens. Even in the middle of a firefight. "Helm, plot a course to that debris field," Marcus ordered. "Maximum burn." "Sir?" Lieutenant Torres turned to face him. "Captain, if we break formation now, the Caltherians will focus all their fire on us. The other ships cannot cover us." "I know," Marcus said quietly. "Signal Defiance and Ironclad. Tell them to keep the enemy busy. We are going to get whoever is sending that distress call." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Some looked worried. Others showed grim determination. This was not the first time their captain had made a decision that seemed crazy but somehow worked. Still, charging into enemy crossfire to save an unknown alien was bold even for Marcus Webb. The Retribution turned hard, its engines burning white-hot as it accelerated toward the debris field. The sudden change in formation confused the Caltherians for exactly 3 seconds. Then all 3 alien battlecruisers opened fire on the lone human ship. Plasma bolts streaked through space, each one powerful enough to vaporize a city. The Retribution's shields flared brilliant blue as the enemy weapons found their target. Warning lights turned the bridge red. More alarms joined the chorus of destruction. "Shields at 15%, Torres called out. "We cannot take much more of this." "Just get us to that signal," Marcus ordered. Through the view screen, he could see the debris field growing larger. Somewhere in that wreckage, someone was dying. Someone was hoping for rescue. The Caltherians wanted to make sure that rescue never came. Ensign Park's console lit up with new data. "Captain, I am getting more information from the signal. It is an escape pod. Life signs are faint but present. Whoever is in there does not have much time left." Another plasma barrage slammed into the Retribution. This time the impact was stronger. The ship lurched sideways. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. The artificial gravity flickered for a heartbeat. "Shields at 9%, Torres reported, her voice tight with stress. "One more hit and we are exposed." Marcus watched the tactical display. The Defiance and Ironclad were doing their best to draw enemy fire, but the Caltherians were focused on the Retribution now. They knew what the human ship was trying to do, and they wanted to stop it. "Lock tractor beam on that escape pod," Marcus commanded. "Bring it in fast." The Retribution dove into the debris field, using the scattered wreckage as cover. Pieces of destroyed ship bounced off the shields. The tractor beam reached out, grabbed the small escape pod, and pulled it toward the human vessel. Through the bridge view screen, Marcus caught a glimpse of the pod. It was damaged, barely functional, leaking atmosphere into the void. Inside, a figure moved weakly. Alien, unknown species, but alive, and that was enough. "Got it," Park announced. "Escape pod secured in landing bay 2. "Get us out of here," Marcus ordered. Full reverse, maximum power. The Retribution pulled away from the debris field, its engines screaming. The Caltherians fired again, but this time the human ship was already moving. Plasma bolts passed through empty space where the Retribution had been seconds before. Marcus allowed himself a thin smile. They had done it. Against all odds, against all tactical sense, they had rescued whoever was in that pod. Now they just had to survive long enough to find out who they had saved and why the Caltherians had wanted them dead so badly. The medical bay doors hissed open, revealing chaos inside. Dr. Hassan worked frantically over the alien figure on the examination table while 2 nurses rushed around gathering equipment. The creature's scaled skin had turned a sickly gray color, and strange vital signs blinked across monitors that were struggling to interpret alien biology. Captain Marcus stood in the doorway, still wearing his combat uniform stained with smoke from the bridge. Behind him, the Retribution shuddered as another distant explosion echoed through the hull. The battle was not over yet. "Talk to me, Hassan," Marcus said. "Is she going to live?" Dr. Hassan did not look up from his work. His hands moved with practiced precision as he injected something into the alien's arm. "She is Viridian. I have seen their species in the xenobiology database. They are one of the oldest members of the Galactic Council." "Captain, this is not just any alien. Look at the markings on her robes." Marcus stepped closer. Even damaged and torn, the robes showed intricate symbols that meant nothing to human eyes. But the quality of the fabric, the careful embroidery, spoke of importance and rank. "She is suffering from severe oxygen deprivation and hypothermia," Hassan continued. "Her escape pod was failing when we found her. Another 10 minutes and she would have been dead. I am using broad-spectrum medical nanites to stabilize her, but Captain, we need to know what happened out there." The intercom crackled to life. "Captain, to the bridge. Urgent." Marcus took one last look at the unconscious alien before running back to the command center. He arrived to find Lieutenant Torres staring at her tactical display with an expression of complete confusion. "Sir, the Caltherians are retreating," Torres said. "All 3 battlecruisers are pulling back. They are leaving the system." "That makes no sense," Marcus said, studying the screen. The alien warships were indeed withdrawing, their engines burning as they put distance between themselves and the human fleet. "We hurt them, but not enough to force a retreat. They still had the advantage." Ensign Park turned from his communication station, his face pale. "Captain, I think I know why they are leaving. I have been analyzing the distress signal more carefully. It was not just a random emergency beacon. It was encrypted with Galactic Council authorization codes, high-level codes, diplomatic codes. The pieces started falling into place in Marcus's mind. The ambush, the debris field, the desperate attempt to stop them from reaching the escape pod. The Caltharians had not been hunting the human fleet at all. They had been cleaning up evidence. "Get Dr. Hassan on the line," Marcus ordered. "I need to know the moment that alien can talk." It took 20 minutes. 20 minutes, during which the human fleet formed a defensive perimeter around the Retribution, scanning for any sign the Caltharians might return. 20 minutes during which Marcus paced the bridge, knowing they had stumbled into something much bigger than a simple skirmish. Finally, Hassan's voice came through the intercom. "Captain, she is awake, and she is asking for you." Marcus found the alien sitting up on the examination table, her emerald scales slowly returning to their natural color. Her large eyes focused on him with an intelligence that was immediately apparent. When she spoke, the universal translator built into the medical bay converted her words into English. "You are the captain of this vessel," she said. It was not a question. "You are the human who ordered your ship to rescue me." "Captain Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Fleet," he confirmed. "You were sending a distress signal," we answered. "Can you tell me what happened out there?" The alien's expression was difficult to read, but something like relief crossed her features. "I am Ambassador Rithal of the Viridian Collective. I serve on the Galactic Council as a diplomatic representative. 3 days ago, I was traveling to an emergency council session aboard the diplomatic vessel Harmonious Truth. We were attacked by the Caltharians," Marcus said. Rithal nodded slowly. "Yes, but it was not a random attack. It was planned, orchestrated. The Caltharians have been pushing for military action against humanity for years. They fear your expansion, your refusal to submit to council authority. They needed an incident. A reason to unite the galaxy against Earth." Marcus felt ice forming in his stomach. "What kind of incident?" "They were going to destroy my ship and make it look like human aggression," Rithal explained. "I was supposed to die. My body was supposed to be found in the wreckage with evidence of human weapons. The Council would have declared war on Earth within days." "But you survived," Marcus said. "My own crew betrayed me," Rithal continued, and for the first time, Marcus heard pain in her voice. "They were bought by Caltharian gold. They put me in that escape pod and abandoned me in deep space. They took fabricated evidence back to the Council. Right now, the galaxy believes that humanity murdered a Galactic Council ambassador." The bridge intercom crackled again. "Captain, we are receiving multiple transmissions from Council space," Park reported. "It is all over the galactic communication networks. The Council is holding an emergency session. They are voting on whether to authorize military force against Earth." Marcus looked at Rithal. "Can you stop it? If you testify, tell them what really happened?" The ambassador stood up, her legs still shaky but her resolve clear. "I can try. But Captain, you need to understand something. When the Council learns that humans risked their ship and crew to save me, an unknown alien in the middle of a battle, it will change everything. The Council has believed for 20 years that humanity is savage and only concerned with your own survival. You just proved them completely wrong." Marcus allowed himself a slight smile. "Ambassador, we did not save you to make a political statement. We saved you because it was the right thing to do." Rithal studied the human captain for a long moment. In that look, Marcus saw her reassessing everything she thought she knew about his species. Finally, she spoke. "I know, Captain Webb. That is exactly what makes it so powerful. Get me to a communications array with enough range to reach Council space. I have a testimony to deliver, and the galaxy is going to learn the truth about both the Caltharians and humanity." The Galactic Council chamber was a massive sphere floating in the heart of Council Station, surrounded by the cold void of space. 73 species occupied the tiered platforms that circled the central floor. Some were humanoid, others were so alien that they existed as clouds of gas or crystalline structures that pulsed with thought. Chairman Veloke, a towering being made of living crystal, stood at the center podium. His voice resonated through the chamber like the ringing of ancient bells. "The vote is called," Veloke announced. "Shall the Galactic Council authorize immediate Military action against the human species for the murder of Ambassador Rithal of the Viridian Collective. Species representatives, cast your votes. On platforms around the chamber, lights began to glow. Red for war, blue for peace. The vote was not even close. 61 species voted red. The chamber filled with angry voices calling for justice, demanding that humanity face consequences for their savage actions. War Prime Thoktar of the Caltherian Hive stood on his platform, his insectoid mandibles clicking with satisfaction. The humans have shown their true nature. They expand like a plague across the galaxy, refusing to acknowledge council authority. Now they murder our diplomats. We must act before they grow stronger. A massive fleet was already gathering at the edge of council space. 10,000 warships from dozens of species, all preparing to jump to human territory. Earth's colonies would be destroyed first. Then the home world itself would face the combined might of the galaxy. In orbit around Earth, Admiral Lisa Grant watched the council transmission with growing horror. Her defense fleet numbered barely 300 ships. Even with every human vessel in the galaxy recalled, they could not stand against 10,000 enemy warships. "Get me a line to all colony governors," Grant ordered from her command ship, the Valiant. "Start evacuation protocols. Civilian transports need to jump to deep space within the hour." But even as she gave the orders, Grant knew it was hopeless. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The galaxy had decided that humanity was guilty, and the sentence was extinction. Then something happened that no one expected. Every display screen in the council chamber suddenly changed. The voting interface disappeared, replaced by a transmission override. Chairman Velok's crystalline structure flashed with anger at the interruption. But before he could speak, a face appeared on every screen. Emerald scales, large, intelligent eyes, a face that every council member recognized. "I am Ambassador Rithal of the Viridian Collective," she said, her voice clear and strong, "and I am very much alive." The council chamber erupted in chaos. Species representatives shouted in confusion. Velok struck his resonance staff, demanding order. On his platform, Thoktar's mandibles stopped clicking. The Caltherian War Prime stood frozen, watching his carefully constructed plan collapse. Rithal continued speaking, her image broadcast across the entire galaxy. 3 days ago, my diplomatic vessel was attacked by Caltherian warships. My own crew, bought with Caltherian bribes, abandoned me in an escape pod to die in deep space. They carried fabricated evidence to the council, claiming humans had murdered me. It was all a lie designed to start a war. The transmission switched to tactical data, sensor logs, communications records, video footage from the Retribution showing the Caltherian battlecruisers firing on the debris field, trying to stop the human rescue. "But I did not die," Rithal said. "A human ship, the Retribution, commanded by Captain Marcus Webb, detected my distress signal. In the middle of a battle for their own survival, they chose to risk everything to save an unknown alien. They took heavy damage. They put themselves in direct enemy fire, and they succeeded." The council chamber had gone silent. Every species representative watched the footage of the Retribution diving into the Caltherian crossfire, its shields flaring as plasma bolts hammered its hull. They saw the human ship grab the escape pod and pull away, damaged but triumphant. Chairman Velok's voice resonated with barely controlled emotion. "Ambassador Rithal, you are certain of these claims? The Caltherians orchestrated this entire incident?" "I am certain, Chairman. I was there. I watched my crew betray me. I heard the Caltherian commanders coordinate the attack on the diplomatic vessel, and I felt a human ship risk destruction to save my life when they had no reason to help me and every reason to flee." The transmission changed again. This time it showed Captain Marcus Webb standing on the bridge of the Retribution. Behind him, the battered walls of the ship were visible, along with crew members working to repair damage. Marcus looked directly at the council. "Chairman Velok, council representatives," Marcus began. "My name is Captain Marcus Webb. I command this vessel. Ambassador Rithal speaks the truth about everything that happened, but I want to add something. We did not save her to earn political favor. We did not save her to prove anything to the galaxy. We saved her because she needed help, and humans do not leave people to die when we can prevent it." Marcus paused, then gestured to someone off-screen. "Lieutenant Torres, transmit the full tactical package." On every council display, complete military data began flowing. Sensor logs from the battle, communications intercepts, ship positions, and weapon signatures. Everything the human fleet had recorded during the engagement, intelligence that any military force would guard with their lives. Marcus was giving it freely to potential enemies. "This is everything we know about Caltharian tactics and capabilities," Marcus said. "Every weapon signature, every shield frequency, every communication protocol. We are giving this to the Council, without conditions because humans believe in truth, even when it costs us tactical advantage." The Council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then Chairman Velok spoke, his crystalline voice filled with something new. "Respect. Captain Webb, the vote for military action is rescinded. The Council acknowledges that humanity has been falsely accused. We invite Earth to send a diplomatic delegation to discuss formal recognition and Council membership." On his platform, Thoktar's entire body went rigid. "This is deception. Humans are manipulating you. They stage this entire scene to gain your trust." "Then explain the tactical data, War Prime," Velok said coldly. "Explain why your warships tried to prevent the human rescue. Explain why Ambassador Rithal identifies your species as her attackers." Thoktar had no answer. He simply stood silent as the Council security forces moved toward his platform. But deep in Caltharian space, far from the Council chamber, other forces were already moving. The Caltharians and their allies had prepared for the possibility of failure. 10,000 warships still waited at the edge of Council territory. And now they had new orders. If they could not destroy humanity with Council approval, they would do it without permission. The warning sirens across Earth's orbital defense platforms screamed in unison. Admiral Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of the Valiant, watching the sensor displays with cold dread. 10,000 alien warships had just entered human space, their massive fleet stretching across light years of void. The Caltharian armada had come, and they had brought allies. "Confirm those numbers," Grant ordered, though she already knew the answer. Commander Blake worked his console frantically. "Confirmed, Admiral. 10,372 enemy vessels. Caltharian battlecruisers form the core fleet. But I am reading Thorian dreadnoughts, Zelian destroyers, Morkath carriers. 12 species minimum. They are all broadcasting the same message." "Let me hear it," Grant said. The bridge speakers crackled with the translated voice of War Prime Thoktar. "Humanity, you have deceived the Council and poisoned their judgment. We will not allow your species to spread further. Surrender your worlds and accept extinction, or we will take them by force. You have 1 hour to respond." Grant looked at her tactical display. The entire Earth defense fleet had gathered in the Arcturus sector, forming a defensive line between the enemy armada and the human colonies beyond. 300 human warships against more than 10,000. The mathematics were brutal and simple. Earth was going to lose. "Send a response to the Caltharians," Grant ordered. "Tell them humanity does not surrender. Tell them if they want our worlds, they can come and take them." Blake hesitated. "Admiral, should we not try diplomacy? Maybe buy time for evacuation?" "There is no time left, Commander. And I will not beg for mercy from beings who tried to frame us for murder. We fight!" Grant activated the fleet-wide channel. Every human ship, from massive dreadnoughts to small frigates, received her transmission. "All vessels, this is Admiral Grant. You all know what we face. The odds are impossible. Logic says we should retreat. But we are not here because of logic. We are here because behind us are our homes, our families, our future. The galaxy thinks humanity is savage and brutal. Today we show them what we really are. We are the ones who stand when everyone else runs. We are the ones who fight when the fight seems hopeless. We are humanity and we do not break. All ships, battle formation Delta, wait for my command." The human fleet moved into position, their formation tight and disciplined. 300 ships against 10,000. Grant watched the enemy armada approach, their numbers so vast they blotted out the stars. Then something unexpected happened. A new transmission cut through the command channel, but this one was not from the Caltherians. The voice was familiar. Ambassador Rithal. Admiral Grant, this is Ambassador Rithal broadcasting from Council Station. Hold your position. Help is coming. Before Grant could respond, space itself seemed to tear open. Hyperspace portals bloomed across the battlefield, and new ships emerged. Viridian warships with their distinctive green hulls. Tall-mass cruisers from the Pelthian Commonwealth. Crystalline battleships from the Solari Imperium. Species that Grant had never seen in combat were jumping into human space, forming up alongside Earth's fleet. Admiral Grant, Rithal's voice continued, now transmitted across all channels for both fleets to hear. The Council may be divided, but many of us remember what honor means. Humanity risked everything to save me when they had no obligation. Today, you do not fight alone. Grant watched her tactical display transform. Human ships were no longer outnumbered. The Allied vessels brought the numbers closer to even. Still a hard fight, but now it was a fight they could win. Thoktar's voice cut across the channels, filled with rage. You betray the Council's neutrality. This is not your war! Chairman Velok's crystalline voice responded, broadcast from Council Station itself. War Prime Thoktar, you launched this attack without Council authorization. You are acting as a rogue force. These species choose to defend humanity because humans demonstrated something we had forgotten. True honor. True courage. The Council will not intervene, but neither will we condemn those who fight for what is right. The Caltherian armada halted its advance, thrown into confusion. Thoktar had expected an easy victory against a weak, isolated humanity. Instead, he faced a united coalition that matched his numbers. All Caltherian vessels, attack formation! Thoktar commanded, his voice sharp with fury. Destroy the humans and anyone who stands with them. Grant watched the enemy fleet begin to move. This was it. The battle that would determine whether humanity had a place in the galaxy or would be erased from existence. She activated her command channel. All ships, human and allied forces, this is Admiral Grant. We hold this line. We protect our worlds. We show the galaxy that humanity keeps its promises and stands with its friends. All vessels, weapons free. Engage the enemy! 300 human warships opened fire simultaneously. Their railguns, missiles, and energy weapons lit up the void. The Allied vessels joined in, their exotic weaponry adding to the barrage. The Caltherian fleet returned fire, and space became a storm of destruction. The battle raged across the Arcturus sector for hours. Human ships used their speed and maneuverability to strike fast and hard, then retreat before the enemy could focus fire. Allied vessels provided covering fire, their weapons hammering Caltherian shields. Slowly, impossibly, the human coalition began to push back. Grant watched from the Valiant's bridge as the tactical display showed the ebb and flow of battle. Human casualties were mounting, but so were Caltherian losses. Ships on both sides died in silent explosions, their crews becoming ghosts in the void. Then Ensign Park, who had been transferred to Grant's command ship after the Retribution took damage, called out from communications. Admiral, I am reading a priority transmission from deep space. It is Captain Marcus Webb on the Retribution. He says he has critical intelligence and needs to speak with you immediately. Grant accepted the transmission. Marcus's face appeared on her screen, and behind him she could see the battered interior of his ship. But the captain was smiling. Admiral, we found something while analyzing the Caltherian communication protocols we captured. Their fleet coordination runs through Thoktar's command ship. If we take out that single vessel, their entire formation will collapse into chaos. But there is a problem. The command ship is in the center of their formation, protected by 300 battle cruisers. Grant understood immediately. You need someone to punch through those defenses. We need humanity to do what we do best, Admiral. We need someone crazy enough to charge straight into impossible odds and succeed anyway. Grant looked at her tactical display, calculating angles and distances. It was suicide. But if it worked, they could end this battle and save thousands of lives on both sides. Captain Webb, we are coming. All human vessels, this is Admiral Grant. Prepare for attack pattern Omega. Target, Caltherian command ship. We are ending this now. Admiral Lisa Grant watched the tactical display as every human warship in the fleet acknowledged her orders. 300 vessels prepared to execute the most dangerous maneuver in military history. They were going to punch straight through the heart of the Caltharian armada to destroy War Prime Thoktar's command ship. The odds of success were almost zero. The odds of survival were worse. All human vessels, execute attack pattern Omega on my mark, Grant commanded from the bridge of the Valiant. Allied forces, keep the flanks occupied. We need a clear path to that command ship. The Viridian and Pelthian warships immediately shifted their formations, drawing enemy fire away from the human attack vector. Grant watched as the Caltharian fleet reacted, trying to reinforce their center, where Thoktar's massive command ship sat protected by 300 battlecruisers. 3 minutes to weapons range, Commander Blake reported. Admiral, their defenses are concentrating. Every gun in their fleet will be aimed at us. Good, Grant said coldly. Then they will not see what is coming. All ships charge main weapons. Prepare for synchronized firing sequence. The human fleet accelerated, their engines burning at maximum power. Plasma bolts and missile salvos filled the void as the Caltharians opened fire. Human shields flared and died under the onslaught. The destroyer Relentless exploded in a flash of light. The cruiser Steadfast took a direct hit and went tumbling through space, life support failing. But the human fleet did not slow down. They pushed harder, diving deeper into the enemy formation. Grant felt the Valiant shudder as enemy fire found its mark again and again. Damage reports flooded in from every section of the ship. Shields at 20%, Blake called out. Multiple hull breaches. We cannot take much more. We do not need to take much more, Grant replied. Just long enough to get in position. All ships on my mark, execute maneuver Delta 7. At precisely the same moment, every human warship fired not at the enemy but at the space directly in front of them. High-energy weapons created a massive electromagnetic disruption that scrambled Caltharian sensors and communications across thousands of kilometers. The enemy fleet was suddenly blind, their targeting systems unable to lock on to the human ships. In that moment of confusion, the human fleet did something no Caltharian commander expected. They did not slow down or try to evade. They accelerated even harder, pushing their engines beyond safety limits. They dove straight into the Caltharian defensive formation at point-blank range. Space combat was normally fought across vast distances where ships were tiny dots on sensors. But humans had learned to fight differently. They closed the gap, got so close that enemy capital ships could not effectively target them without hitting their own allies. It turned the battle into a knife fight in the dark. The Valiant weaved between Caltharian battlecruisers, its guns firing constantly. Enemy ships exploded around them. Human vessels fell as well, their sacrifice buying time for others to push forward. Grant saw the command ship on her display, growing larger as they closed the distance. Target lock on Thoktar's command ship, Blake announced. All human vessels have firing solutions. Fire everything, Grant ordered. Every surviving human warship fired simultaneously. Railgun rounds moving at incredible speeds. Missiles that could crack planets. Energy weapons that could melt through any armor. All of it focused on a single target. The Caltharian command ship's shields held for exactly 3 seconds before they collapsed under the concentrated assault. Then the armor began to fail. Explosions bloomed across the massive vessel's hull. Inside, War Prime Thoktar watched his bridge tear apart around him. He tried to issue orders, but the communication systems were already dead. His last thought was confusion that humans, the species he had underestimated, had destroyed everything he built. The command ship broke apart in a series of cascading explosions, and across the Caltharian fleet chaos erupted. Without central coordination, without Thoktar's commands, the enemy formation fell apart. Ships received conflicting orders or no orders at all. Some tried to retreat. Others kept fighting. Most simply stopped, unsure what to do. The Allied fleet pressed their advantage. Viridian warships hammered Caltharian vessels that were now easy targets. Human ships regrouped, bloody but unbroken. Within an hour, the battle was over. The massive armada that had come to destroy humanity was shattered, its survivors fleeing into deep space. Grant stood on the bridge of the Valiant, looking at the tactical display that now showed the aftermath. 70 human ships had been lost. Hundreds of Allied vessels were damaged or destroyed, but Earth still stood. Humanity had survived. 3 weeks later, Ambassador Rithel stood beside Captain Marcus Webb on Earth in the rebuilt United Nations building in New Geneva. The city stretched out before them, full of life and activity. Humans rushed about their daily lives, unaware of how close they had come to extinction. "Your people changed everything," Rithel said, her emerald scales catching the sunlight. Before humanity arrived in the galaxy, the Council was old and tired. Ancient species concerned only with maintaining power and tradition. "You reminded us what we had forgotten." "What is that?" Marcus asked, still wearing his uniform from the Retribution. The ship was in orbit above them, undergoing repairs but still ready to fight if needed. "That civilization is not measured by how long you have existed or how much territory you control," Rithel explained. "It is measured by what you do when someone needs help. By standing up for what is right even when the odds are impossible. By never abandoning those who call for aid." Marcus smiled slightly. "We just call that being human, Ambassador." "I know," Rithel said. "And that is why the galaxy needs your species. The Council has formally invited Earth to full membership. You will have a voice in galactic affairs. You will help shape the future." Marcus looked up at the sky where human and allied warships held formation together. The fleet that had fought side by side in the Arcturus sector had become something more than a temporary alliance. It had become the foundation of a new era. "What happened to the Caltherians?" Marcus asked. "Their council seat has been suspended pending investigation," Rithel replied. "Many of their allies have abandoned them. Thoktar is dead, and his replacement is already requesting peace negotiations. The galaxy learned an important lesson. Humanity cannot be intimidated or destroyed. You can only be respected or feared, and most species prefer respect." Above Earth, the combined fleet stood ready, not for conquest or expansion, but for the next time someone somewhere in the vast galaxy sent out a distress signal. Because humans had proven something fundamental about their nature. They showed up when others needed help. They answered calls for aid even when logic said to run. They stood with those who stood with them. Ambassador Rithal had been abandoned in deep space, left to die as part of a conspiracy to destroy humanity. But a human ship had answered her distress call. That single act of courage had changed the balance of power in the entire galaxy and proven that Earth's place among the stars was earned not through violence but through the simple act of doing what was right. In the vastness of space, humanity had found its purpose, and the galaxy would never be the same.